All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to Mets Weekly as we are live at this very moment on YouTube and on X to discuss the latest off-season news and rumors. Before we get into all of that, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel for new episodes of our regularly scheduled podcast, which are recorded live now every Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. For those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation in the future, make sure to turn on those post notifications to know when we go live, which includes live reaction shows to off-season moves, as well as updates on big fish free agents. We did that last year with Soto. Now we are doing it with Tucker, but they're only on our YouTube channel. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok for more content over there. Follow everyone individually. So at this current moment, we are at day 2 of Tuck Watch, is what we're calling it, because it is currently a play on the New York Rangers defensive system, also known as puck watching. So that's basically what we're going to go with. Either way, Andrew, you are here. You weren't here for day 1 of it. You were here in the chat making us laugh. Either way, you talked about Kyle Tucker a lot. We'll get into the new stuff. We'll discuss plenty of stuff that, can mean that he's going somewhere. However, you talked about Kyle Tucker last podcast episode, saying that you would prioritize him for an offensive fit in this lineup. It looks more likely and likely as the hours tick by. Mets, Dodgers, Jays. I mean, it's exciting. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're seeing these big numbers on short-term deals, and again, that's the David Stearns way. Are we all getting our hopes extremely high? And yeah, am I playing into that? Of course. Am I still waiting for once he officially does sign that, the pass notification hits that it's a 2-year, $35 million a year opt-out deal with the Dodgers? That's what I'm probably still expecting, but you know what? I am okay to go on Tuck Watch and say, you know what? We're getting them, and until that notification is out, I believe we have a shot. Again, we saw the contract offer put. It's ridiculous, but it's ridiculous in a good way. The fact that you have this financial backing of Steve Cohen, use it and, use it to your advantage in these sort of opportunities. So, yeah, again, he's the number 1 free agent in the game. And for an off season where everyone wants to rip their hairs out and send David Stearns to the hospital, this would be kind of that, make right to say, you know what, improves the offense, improves the team. And guess what? Everyone gets happy. You add an all-star, which, again, how many times? Everyone loves a good all-star. You add a multi-time all-star and a perennial MVP candidate to your lineup, that's never a bad thing.
The way you said that, to the hospital. All right. Well, Evan, you were here for a little bit. You had to step out. It's whatever. It happens. Matt, you were here for pretty much the whole 2 hours that we were live and yapping about this whole thing. I mean, as the reports continue to go through, it looks like we are going to, maybe in the next 48 hours, get an answer from Kyle Tucker. It feels a little bit different because he's not a Boris client. However, right now, we're here to talk about it, as some people are saying in the chat, some fellow Rangers fans, as the 3 of us are. It's better to be talking about this because that team is an absolute disgrace. Either way, this could be monumental if they continue to be in this long pursuit for him. And as of right now, to be honest, I would say news-wise, good day for the Mets on the Tucker front. Like, we're getting some reports that the Mets are really, really serious about this, even in comparison to yesterday.
Yeah, we'll see where it ends up going. It's nice to hear, though, that because when we heard that it was a 3-year offer, my first thought is if it takes a 4th year, then just do it at that point. So we've heard now that they went up to the 4th year, which is encouraging. I don't know where this goes. I mean, at the end of the day, though, the way that I look at this point is if the Mets don't land Tucker, I can't sit here and say the Mets didn't put in a good enough offer. If he wants the years, then he's going to end up going to Toronto. And if he wants to win a World Series, then he's going to go to LA. So that's just really what it comes down to, is what his preference is. I could try to, sit here, convince everyone why it makes sense for each scenario. For the long-term deal with the lockout, you get more guaranteed money over the long term, and you don't know what it's going to be like with the financial climate out of the lockout. You could argue, though, the other side of it, where going into the lockout, he's going to be getting a guaranteed $50 million. And I'm sure there's something in the contract about how if there is a lockout, he's still going to be getting his money. And then you could also argue, oh, well, LA just went back to back, so it makes sense to try to go there, cash in on a good year, hit behind Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, hit in front of them, whatever he ends up doing, and then cash in the next offseason. I could sell you on each scenario. I have no idea where it's going to go. But at the end of the day, I at least am happy to hear that the Mets are making a strong enough push. And it just shows that, for all the people that are giving up on Stearns and Cohen and saying that, they care about the casino, this and that, and they don't care about next season, which I know is insane to say because, Pete Alonso's gone. So how dare me defend them? But at the end of the day, there's going to be a backup plan, which is what I said when I was here briefly yesterday. And we'll see what ends up happening. I do share the sentiment where a lot of people are saying in the chat they're skeptical and think the Mets are being used. I lean towards that side, but hopefully I end up being wrong and he ends up coming here.
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, the Mets put their best front foot forward, obviously, because you offer $50 million a year, obviously, to a player. You know that they are serious about getting that player. There's not really anything that you can do beyond that. And they're going above and beyond compared to what I was expecting even from yesterday. Matt, you were here for the stream yesterday, and we were talking about how if you need to do a fourth year, do a fourth year if you're already up to $50 million AAV. I mean, if you're already this deep into it, you might as well finish the job. And I mean, as of right now, $50 million a year, we don't know what the entire details of it. There might be opt-outs in it. We'll get into some of the reports of, what we have been discussing and what we've been seeing on social media. But I mean, as of right now, you got to feel good about it as a Mets fan, even if they don't end up getting him. And I understand there's no consolation prize here, but they are making an effort to build this team. It just has to be on the right players. And that's pretty much what the mindset is right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's been we've definitely waited now for a while. Obviously, we got the big news drop yesterday about the Mets offering multiple type of contracts. Like I said, we got the Will Salmon article. Then we had Robert Murray come out and say the Mets have offered a $50 million AAV. Nothing really happened into last night, other than we also got the news from Ken Rosenthal, which stated that that Tucker might ultimately decide where he's going either this week or even at latest next week. But even then, like with his birthday on Saturday, maybe we might even see him, just sign this week. Hopefully maybe tonight, because I just kind of want to get this over and done with. I don't want to keep, waiting and then doing these live streams. I just want to get it over with tonight, whether he comes to the Mets or he comes to the Blue Jays. But look, for me, I'm fairly confident we can land Kyle Tucker. And to me, I think the most encouraging thing, it's like kind of what we've gone over and like even we discussed on yesterday's stream, is that the Mets they're pretty much throwing everything they possibly can at Kyle Tucker without giving out crazy long-term years like the Blue Jays are, because we haven't gotten like a 100% confirmation what sort of contract the Blue Jays have offered. We just know that they're offering more years than the Mets. Probably my guess right now, if they're just offering a base deal, probably somewhere around 7. I don't know what their willingness would be to go towards 8 or 9. And like I said, because there's even plenty of comments in the chat saying that the Mets are being used for leverage and that, he's eventually, pick the Blue Jays. He just wants to get to that number. But to be honest, and we even got that report from Ken Rosenthal where, and again, I don't know if this is 100% true, if it's maybe just a negotiation tactic, but he stated that he's not sure how far the Blue Jays are willing to go for a guy like Tucker. And, just building off like what we were saying yesterday about, if the Mets want to get this done, we do want to see them maybe go a step a little further, and we were more talking about the fourth year. And I know even like on Ibby today when he was doing his live stream until Mets do his part, make sure you guys check them out. He had Keith Radd on today, and Keith was basically saying, because he was there at the meetings yesterday at Citi Field where David Stearns was doing his press conference and talking to the media.
I just want to jump in. We got a tweet from Mike Puma that they are now expecting that the Tucker decision won't come until at least Thursday.
No, okay, that's nice.
All right.
But yeah, no, just like, yeah, I mean, but yeah, just kind of finish off what I was saying. Like, Keith Radd's getting the impression that the Mets are kind of, sort of willing to do whatever it takes to get him. Now, if they're willing to go another year, maybe include more opt-outs, we'll see. But I'm fairly confident that I think that the Mets have a good chance at landing Kyle Tucker. It's just like what Evan said. It's down to what he really wants. Does he want the years? Then he'll pick the Blue Jays. Does he want a better shot winning a World Series? He'll pick the Dodgers. But if he wants more money up front and with a chance of hitting the open market next year, obviously he'll pick the Mets offer. It's just we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different avenues you can go by, because I do think that even through all of these three, there's advantages everywhere, and each of them have their own advantages. We talked about how the Mets have a lot of familiarity with Kyle Tucker, with some of the coaches that they had brought in from Houston when Kyle Tucker was with Houston, obviously before getting traded to the Cubs. Now, listen, it is okay to be skeptical. I still am on that skeptical point of it. I think that the Mets are in the top two. I don't know who number one is. I don't know who that other team is. But I do think that the Mets are in the top two just because of, by default, them offering $50 million a year, which is not something that you see lightly. Now, we'll get into, obviously, the debates of if this is a good fit for one team or this or that. But as for some of you guys in the chat, I want to, pop some of you guys up. BBA saying that I'm not confident. What's taking so long? I mean, it is a big decision. Let's just say that. I mean, it's a lot of money. It's probably $200 million in every single facet whatsoever. So we'll see. I think that a decision will be made at one point. Daniel in the chat saying happy Wednesday. I think Barry saying, why would we be so confident? He wants years. If he wants years, he would have taken the Blue Jays offer already. I mean, and if he ends up doing it, saying that we're definitely being used for leverage, it's possible. I mean, we know that Steve Cohen has the deep pockets to do so. It's happened, but the Mets have also outbid guys before, and they have been able to win those biddings. They have not had success with that possibly happening. However, they have been able to flex the wallet when it is worth it, and Kyle Tucker is one of the best players in all of baseball. It's a little bit different compared to the Soto situation. Roger saying that I'm worried about we are being used, only the Mets offer being leaked by the agent. That is one thing. That is really one factor that you can point out, obviously. I will say that Kyle Tucker obviously is not a Boris client, so we're not really used to these types of tactics. I'm not sure who he is represented by. I don't know if you guys can tell me which one he is. However, I do think this is a little bit different of a situation where we're just kind of up in the dark at this current moment, and we know who has the advantage and who doesn't. And if it becomes a factor, it becomes a factor. Who knows? Daniel saying, I'm not giving up on Stearns. I gave up on the mainstream Met reports, caused they don't have a clue what is going on. Very possible. And then also, these are the top 1% free agents. I mean, we didn't see the Mets attached to, Devin Williams as much, even though he had that connection to them in, him in Milwaukee. Luke Weaver was just fan speculation. We didn't see anything about Polanco. We didn't see anything about Nimmo getting traded. We did see that one passing report, but we didn't think it was completely possible, and they did that right away. So we didn't really know. And again, we'll see where all of that, ends up again. But I think that the top 1% maybe is kind of a due diligence to fans to know where these guys are going because they're setting the market. However, this is also not a Boris client. There's so many different factors.
I was going to jump in and say the only silver lining about any of this, I mean, it doesn't really mean much, but he's represented by the same agent Kyle Schwarber is. And I mean, we heard the entire time Kyle Schwarber, every report that came out, it was that he was going to go back to the Phillies no matter what. So could this be a negotiation? I don't know. But at the same time, I mean, with Kyle Schwarber, we didn't hear anything really about how, he might consider this team, might consider that team. It was like always the Phillies consistently. And, that kind of relates to my point for why the Mets offer could make sense for Tucker. You have to imagine that, his agent's pointing to that situation saying, you could still get a good deal at 32 years old. You don't have to settle for the Blue Jays long-term contract. You could take your $50 million AAV for 3 or 4 years, and then at age 31, 32, you could still get up to 30 to 40 million AAV on another long-term deal, 4 or 5 year deal. So he'd make more money by the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we'll see. And listen, if this is going to a 4-year deal, that's $200 million on the table you can get no matter what. You'll get more possibly guaranteed money that'll be right in front of you. We'll see where all of this ends up. But again, it's not like the Mets are just completely bowing out of the race here. And if they are being used as a leverage piece, maybe they are, and there's maybe another direction where they go in if he gets a short-term deal or a long-term deal with Bellinger, or they're going to try and do other things. They're going to look at the trade market. They still have a starter that they're possibly going to pursue. There's still other things that they could possibly do, but when they saw a market like this land into their lap, you might as well use the advantage of Steve Cohen's wallet to get that top 1% on a short-term deal. We'll see where that ends up. Barry's saying, why do you feel good? It's been 40 years since 1986. Listen, I'm saying you have to feel good about the Mets' mindset of willing to pursue guys as long as it goes to a certain extent that they are comfortable going with. And again, it's more of the fact that they are looking at this in a smart way, because again, are you going $50 million a year or even $40 million a year to a guy like Cody Bellinger? No. You're going $40 million a year, $50 million a year for a guy like Kyle Tucker, who is a much better player. And again, I know that a lot of people have their own. I know that they have their own way as to where this kind of goes back, where again, this goes back and forth with how people determine player value. A guy who is a better hitter than someone doesn't mean that they're an overall better player. There's different dimensions here. And when you talk about Tucker and Bellinger, Tucker is a consistent 5-win player who can give you all of these different tools at a higher level than a guy like Cody Bellinger. So again, it all really just happens to do with the volume as these players do. And again, in that top 1%, all bets are off. All bets are off. And that is not where Cody Bellinger belongs in comparison to somebody like Kyle Tucker, who we can arguably say is a top 15 player in baseball, maybe top 20 player in baseball. I'd say that since 2021, you have Juan Soto, third in wins above replacement. You have Francisco Lindor, fourth, and 10th is Kyle Tucker. So again, I'm not saying that's the end all be all, that wins above replacement is the 1% thing, but we're talking about it in terms of their value and not just full-on statistics, because you just don't know. Age comes in, different things come in. Let's just say that. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. Nightingale is as clueless as Puma. listen, I don't know. Puma does have reliable sources. He just can be a nunce sometimes. Let's just say that. Whenever we hear his opinion and not his reports, it's a little bit different in that way. Let's just say that. Let's see. Tucker probably wants to go to the Dodgers. Who knows? Tucker will be signing with the Jays. We'll see. Tucker to the Blue Jays, 7 years, $325 million. Jeez Christ. Maybe. I don't know. I listen. We have no idea. But we know that we are in the top 3 right now. Top 3. Let's see. Somebody in the chat mentioned that I needed to upgrade the graphic about. Whoops. There you go, Andrew. You're back. No, I needed to update the graphic. Yes, I noticed that, and I went ahead and did that for you. Thank you for letting me know. Because Ranger Suarez, I mean, we can talk a little bit about that. Ranger Suarez to the Red Sox, 5 years, 100 and what is it? 120 something million?
130.
I think it was 135.
135. That's a lot. That is a lot. Andrew, we talked about Ranger Suarez as somebody that we would avoid. Would you have given him that contract?
Hell no. Why would I give $130 million for a guy that can barely hit 89 miles an hour consistently? I will guess if it does affect the Mets in the sense of Framber Valdez is looking at that like, shit, I'm better than him, so I need to get more than that. So kind of maybe the idea of potentially like a similar to the Tucker situation. I don't think you're going to be getting that 1 year or 3 year opt out deal for Framber. I almost said Framber Reyes. Framber Valdez. I think that ship has now sailed with this Suarez deal. So. Again, the Red Sox just seem to be doing anything. I mean, again, they don't sign Bregman and they take their Bregman money and sign him. I guess they're banking on their kids, and I guess Red Sox fans aren't losing their shit of, oh my God, they're gonna have to play Marcelo Meyer now. Unlike some certain franchise that everyone hates the children. So again, it affects the Mets in a sense if you are on Team Framber.
Well, the Mets hate the children because they got rid of Pete Alonso.
No, they hate Cheetos. It's a difference. But again, overall, does it really affect the Mets in the sense it's the weekend of the Phillies? And if you are on the person who wants Framber Valdez, that contract maybe puts a little doubt that maybe David Stern is going that way.
We'll see. Again, I don't know what the advantages look like on every single side, but we have talked about the certain details as to why Kyle Tucker would go to a certain team or compared to the Dodgers. We'll just touch on this for a split second here. I advise the Garden to cook. I advise them to continue cooking. That's what we do. Even though that was our situation. Or we were actually thinking it like, I don't know, 3 years ago. But whatever. Better late than never, right? Better late than never.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. We have Mayaguez in the chat saying that if the Mets fail to sign Tucker, they should try to sign Cody Bellinger. I think that's probably the pivot that we all expect. But there's also a thought from Cody Bellinger that he wants 7 years. That's a Boris client there. So again, I ain't going to that length for him. No. I don't see him aging well whatsoever. And again, I'm not willing to go.
Run prevention? I mean, Stern's been out here crying about run prevention. He hasn't made any run prevention moves. I mean, what
he
a fraud.
got you Marcus Semien.
Can't even.
He got
old.
You Marcus Semien.
He can't play defense. And he got rid of the gerbil.
Anyways, shut up. Jeez. Anyways.
Right.
I'd sign Zach Gallen or trade for Freddie Peralta. Freddie Peralta is probably more likely. Zach Gallen I don't see happening because it's likely you need to give up like a first round pick for him.
Yeah.
if you end up signing him, or is it like second round, fifth round, and also like international pool money, which I don't think the Mets are going to go for. In terms of Zach Allen, who had his best year, 2 years ago? Like, he's far from, the he can bounce back, type of bet, which I don't think is going to end up happening. So same goes for Ranger Suarez. I mean, he had a qualifying offer attached to him, so the Red Sox will be giving up be giving up a draft pick to the Phillies. So we'll see. Finally, Mets fans are going to understand that Stearns is a genius and he knows what he's doing. Well, listen, I don't think we can declare anybody a genius, but he does know what he's doing. However, it's more in a less complex way that a lot of Mets fans are used to. They're just used to, throw money at this guy, and that's how the only way that our team gets better, because he had a good batting average. And we're just going to, we're trying to move past those ways because those ways stunk. Let's see. Well. All right. Thursday is just 3.5 hours away. Technically, that is true. That is 100% true. So maybe he signs at midnight. I don't know. Probably not. We'll see. Mets will get Peralta. I mean, there's talks about that. It all depends on how the Tucker sweepstakes ends here. For what we're going to do for the next podcast, we'll definitely talk a little bit about Freddie Peralta, what it may take. I actually coined a idea on Twitter today and asked you guys because I was just having fun while we were waiting for Tucker. And I guess we can go over it now if you guys want to. I had a idea. It looks like I don't know. It looks like most of the people are agreeing with it. I was asking about with detail, obviously, saying that the Brewers want a Major League ready arm in replacement for Freddie Peralta, and they also are one of the few enthusiasts of any organization to use a six-man rotation, which we know that Senga is one that really needs that. So what I proposed was they get Peralta and they get McGill. The Brewers would get Senga plus $14 million to cover $7 million a year through 2027. So that's 2 more years, plus one of Wenninger, Thornton, Gurton, and 62.9% of you guys said that it's not a bad idea, and 37% of you are saying that it is a stupid idea. So listen, I think that it's gonna take Sproat. Maybe they might ask for Tong. I don't know. However, when you look at Senga, he has 2 more years of control, so you wouldn't put Peterson in there. That would be rental for rental. So, I mean, that's just my thought. I don't know. I think it probably would take a lot more than that. But I was just thinking as to trying to get a little bit savvy here because, again, it is a 1-year rental in Peralta. So, I don't know. I think maybe, I don't know. This is a thought.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's an interesting proposal. Would the Brewers see? I mean, here's because obviously the Brewers are going to still want to compete next year, even though they do have their tendency of trading off guys like they did with Corbin Burns a couple of years ago, and then obviously now they're looking to deal Peralta because we know that they're just not going to pay him because we know the Brewers don't spend money. I mean, listen, do the Brewers want to take on that head case of a Kodai Senga, I do not know. I mean, obviously they'll take the money to cover him, so maybe that entices them. I just think personally that they're gonna want to go younger. Would they probably ask for Tong first? Probably. Do I think the Mets want to give up Tong in this situation for only one guaranteed year of Freddie? The only way I see the Mets be comfortable with giving up Tong is if the trade happens along with a Peralta extension. Does David Stearns want to give him an extension though? Again, it's going to depend on years and money. Probably Peralta's going to be looking for anywhere around 6 years at minimum, just as a starting point. So who knows? I mean, but listen, if they could get him for Sproat and another type of pitcher, maybe another 2 prospects on top of that, we'll see. Maybe it could happen. I don't think that deal would go through necessarily, but it definitely is an interesting proposal.
Yeah, I mean, it's more just working around the details that we were hearing, because there was a report from Jeff Passan that we saw. I think it was either today or yesterday. Let me actually try to bring that up. Yeah, there was something, if free agency does not whet the Mets' appetite, teams in the trade market have plenty interest in a farm system that has drastically improved in these recent years. It's not just the 3 big league ready arms. Sproat is the likeliest among that to move, but there are others like Santucci, RJ Gordon, who have moved up quickly and could be in a rotation by 2027. Whether it's trading for Peralta or potentially Tyreek Skubal on the pitching side, or somebody who they would require less in return on the hitting side. Lars Nootbaar is somebody that is being watched. The Mets are one of the few teams who can pretty much do whatever they want. Now they just need to do it. So that was from Jeff Passan on ESPN.com for the latest that he put out. So maybe there is interest in one of those arms as well, and you'll have to just lower the drawbridge a little bit for what you are willing to give up. However, we'll see. I don't know. I'm interested because I do think that if they end up signing a guy like Kyle Tucker, I do think that the trade market is probably the main reason as to why main way that they add into this rotation. And we'll see. We'll see what that means. I personally think that if you add to this rotation, you got to subtract. But yeah.
We kind of do have, again, I don't know how true this is, but this was from Michael Marino. Source, Mets short-term $50 million AAV offer for Kyle Tucker did not include any deferrals.
Ooh.
Which, that's something I was hoping for, because, at least we knew with the Dodgers offer, again, depending on what offer they made, it's probably similar to what the Mets did offer. It's just we don't know any type of specifics on the Dodger offer, but I had a feeling if the Dodgers were to include, they would include deferrals in their contracts, because they would fucking, defer a fucking orange juice, a bottle of orange juice, because, they can do that. But I mean, listen, if this is another way that the Mets are operating in a way to separate themselves from the Blue Jays offer, which is, obviously, like we were saying, more years, I think this is the way to do it. If they don't feel comfortable maybe going for that 5th extra year, which, again, like something that we discussed, which is something that we would do. But I think this is also another way to try and convince Tucker to, take the shorter term deal with, with more money up front, in terms of, because, like I said, the deal right now is a $50 million AAV.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see where that goes, because again, that's also smart to where, from the Mets perspective, with an incoming lockout coming in, you don't know what the stipulations are going to be in terms of deferrals. So if the Mets were to sign Tucker, and obviously that contract overlapping over the lockout, you never know. You never know if that brings in also a factor. Darren Rivera in the chat, one of our loyal viewers here, huge in the Mets community, great guy, saying, do you think that the Brewers would ask for Ewing because of his speed and defense fits their mold, or do you think that they would prefer a bat like Reimer? I think Ewing is probably in there for the ask. We kind of speculated that the Marlins were asking for AJ Ewing in return for Edward Cabrera, who was sent over to the Cubs. And the Mets obviously had interest in it, and it turned out that the ask for him was A.J. Ewing and Brett Beatty. And the Mets obviously turned that down. Listen, I ain't the biggest Brett Beatty fan, but a guy who's probably going to pencil in less than 100 innings, can't stay healthy whatsoever, and he's the middle of a rotation type of guy, that they were right to say no in that way. But again, with A.J. Ewing, the ask in terms of Freddie Peralta, who is a higher level of pitcher, obviously, higher caliber of pitcher in comparison to Edward Cabrera in so many different ways, they could ask for that. I mean, they could ask for that, and that probably would get the train going, which is the main reason as to why I don't think that that's what they're asking for, because they would have asked for it already, probably. Or you also maybe haven't seen Peralta shopped as hard as we have expected. We know that he was always seen as available, but as the time continues to wind down, you start to see the contracts that guys like Dylan Cease just got. You're starting to see the contract that Suarez just got. But we'll see. Deferrals is literally an oxymoron to high AV. Yeah, kinda. But, I mean, it's more of the fact of the luxury tax as to why teams do that. But if it has no deferrals, I mean, listen, I'm fine with it having, listen, again, they already said they're willing to blow past it. They're willing to blow past it because, again, I don't care what the AAV of any contract is if you're pursuing a top 1% guy like this, because, again, I don't think I only care about how you lock it down for the term. And the term that is seemed to be what the Mets are pursuing at is either 3 or 4 years, which is going to be the prime of Kyle Tucker's career. So I don't care what AAV it is, because, again, there's no real penalty as of right now. Maybe there is a different penalty after the lockout, which maybe they put into consideration. However, I'm pretty sure after the 2026 season, the Mets do have a decent amount of money coming off either way, which it'll probably be likely Clay Holmes will opt out. David Peterson will likely be gone. You have one more year of Manaea. You have one more year of Senga. You also, I think, would lose... Who else would be a free agent the next year? I forget. Hold on. There's plenty of 2027 free agents for the Mets, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Sanga's a free agent. I know Holmes may even be a free agent after next year, depending on what he does with his option. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll also probably... Rayleigh will probably be gone, even though I would bring him back no matter what, because he's a true American.
Minter will be gone.
Yeah, and then you'll also have McNeil's money off and Montas's money off, too. So again, you still have that flexibility, even with paying $50 million to both Tucker and Soto, and then also the contract that Francisco Lindor obviously has through 2031. So
yeah, I mean, look. For me, I don't think anyone should care what the AAV number is, in terms of how high it goes. Because I mean, even if it's like 60 million, which I don't think it's going to get there, because I just don't see it happening. But people shouldn't care because one, first of all, listen, if best case scenario happens, Kyle Tucker signs here, he has a great year, and let's say the Mets have like a really good run, like let's just say they get to the NLCS or the World Series. I mean, listen, you never know if they're gonna, because at that point Tucker would opt out, and then he probably would want another long-term deal. Now, whether the Mets would then go after him again and offer him another long-term deal, that remains to be seen. I guess it would just depends on how he would kind of fix. I mean, he would like mesh with the clubhouse and stuff, and how he would get along with the guys, and how he ultimately handles New York and the pressure of New York. But I mean, listen, if everything goes well, Kyle Tucker may only be here for 1 year, but you know what? I'm willing to take that risk. And also, like we said, like like, and we
It's
talked
also
about
hard
this.
to turn down $50 million.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to just keep that like it really is, obviously. And if he ends up doing it, I mean, you don't even know where maybe you don't even know where Benj is going to be at that current moment.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a contributor. I don't know. And then maybe they'll move on from there, but you just never know.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing that we also talked about yesterday. Like I talked about how during the negotiations, I would have at least wanted him for 2 years. So like, let's say if you're doing like a 3-4 year deal, you would have him here. You would have him for a minimum of 2 years, and then give him the opt out after year two. But and this is something like we also talk about, like with next season being ultimately being a lockout, and you don't have any certainty that there's going to be baseball next year. For me, listen, just give me the 1 year guaranteed of him being here, and then like I said, we'll go on from there. Whatever happens, if like I said, he opts out, if he wants to come back, cool. We'll try to negotiate a contract. But if he gets a better offer from another team next year after he opts out, then listen, it is what it is. Thank you for your time, but ultimately, I just think, and again, this goes hand in hand with what Keith Rad was saying. It certainly feels like the Mets are trying to do whatever it takes to get Tucker, at least within the realms that they're comfortable going to. Because obviously, they're not going to go 6-7 years like the Blue Jays are doing. But obviously, with the deferrals, if that is true, we'll see. But like I said, I hope that they would be willing to go to 5 years. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen, but I mean, like I said, we'll see what happens.
You just never know. What I do know is that the Rangers suck and they're down 5-0 right now. But
I had a chuckle.
I was
They're
chuckling
terrible.
all the way to the bank.
With the Army.
Tag your friends. Darren Rivera makes a really, really good point in here, saying that 114 people are watching. I don't know if that 125 at this current moment. Only 27 likes. Yeah, make sure to like the stream. That would be very, very nice of you. That'd be awesome. It's free. No charge. No charge whatsoever. It will not cost you $50 million a year, such as a hypothetical contract that the Mets would give to Kyle Tucker. It's a fun fact.
I really want to say some bad things about this team right now, but I can't because they're live.
Maybe we'll hop on a midnight stream on Ranger Central. Do a fucking, because we know that Tucker's not going to be announced until tomorrow, so it's like, might as well, right?
I hate that this shit's dragging another day. I fucking
Yeah,
hate
just I don't know. To me though, it's weird because I feel that the longer this drags on, the more advantage the Mets have per se. Because again, it's like if Tucker really wants the years, I felt that he would have took them by now from the Blue Jays. So again, like Carson said earlier, it's a big decision because I mean, listen, he's still getting paid a shit ton of money, whatever contract he decides to go with. But like I said, if it was just a gone guaranteed conclusion that he just wants the years, I feel like he would have picked the Blue Jays already. And I don't know,
Put it in
maybe
present day perspective, it's like, oh, do I want $45 million a year or do I want $50 million a year? It's like, wow, what a decision to make. What a tough decision to make, But again, that's all just the part of the negotiations. All the conditions, those are details that are needed. I think that the Mets do have a decent chance. I'm not going to call them the clear favorites here at all. But we'll see. And we have Ibby in the chat here, who just got done with his show. They just had Keith Rad on their show. I'm actually going to watch that later because I was not able to watch it live. However, he is still very confident, and we all know that Ibby is a big Kyle Tucker guy. So if Ibby's confident and people believe in Ibby, there's a chain reaction there.
because that's the
Let's see.
because that's the weird thing. Like, because I mean, everyone's gonna connect this and try to compare it to the Soto thing. I mean, this and the Soto thing is so much different because we knew Soto was going to the highest bidder, like no matter what, because he's a Boras guy. This is just it's all down to what Tucker wants and how he wants the contract to be structured. And we gotta wait. We gotta wait to see.
Daniel Caps saying, never understood why fans care so much about the money, especially Mets fans. We had the Wilpon, the coupon as the owner, no reason to care. I think there's a reason to care if it is for the wrong player and the certain value that you think you're going to get. Like I'd say that the in context type of situation, you know that Kyle Tucker, 29 years old, typically his prime maybe lasts for 5 more years, 5, 6 more years, 6, 7 years. You never know. But it's all really the fact of how do the Mets, view this market, and how the Mets do view this market. I don't think that they've overplayed their hand at all. Except the Edwin Diaz situation. I do think that they overplayed their hand in that way. But I think that they know the market good enough. And then again, Edwin Diaz, another piece of detail. It's a reliever, like this is a different markets and everything. But again, we'll see. Ebby saying Keith said it best. The confidence that Stearns showed to the media yesterday paints the picture that they are dug in on this player and they won't allow themselves to lose. Very possible. You never know. You just never know. Who knows?
I just wonder how much more they're willing to give if they have to get the Stung. Like, does it take more money? Do they go to a 5th year? Like, I just wonder what it takes to get it done.
I don't know. Let's see. Mets have gotten their heart broken so many times. Could this is another situation where let's hope not. I mean, listen, I think that when the Mets have tried to flex their financial flexibility, most of the time they have won. Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, Juan Soto. Like, we've seen them win a bidding quite a lot, and it took a lot for Juan Soto. So again, if they want Kyle Tucker, who again is a more all-around player in compared to Soto, who can do a lot more, even more different things for your team in the prime of his career. Obviously, he's a little bit older than Soto. If he wants them, they'll try. They will try. Let's see. The Show Insider YouTube channel said that Tucker rejected the Mets offer, and now the Blue Jays are taking over. The Show Insider? Is this
Put a 10-day contract for him.
who? Who's the Show? I don't know who the Show Insider is. But if he's credible, he's credible. We'll see how it works. We'll see how it ends up. Things are probably leaking because
He's not Jeff.
Yeah, things are probably leaking. Maybe it's because he's not represented by Boras. Maybe it's because he's a top 1% player, the top guy on the market who's setting the market, and they want to let everybody know. But who knows? We have no clue. We're just here for the ride. We're just excited to be here, to be honest.
There's a lot of lightning.
It's a Jays
Just
content
enjoy the
creator.
ride.
Yeah, we've seen a decent amount of Jays content creators kind of just show bias a lot. And listen, no disrespect. No disrespect to any Blue Jays fans, even though I'm sure Andrew would show some disrespect to them.
Fucking ham-eating bastards. Yeah.
All right, relax. Okay. But no, we have seen a lot of, this very biased type of media. We even saw it within we already saw it within representation. We saw a report from John Heyman where he talked about, do the Mets really need Kyle Tucker? He said this yesterday. We all know Kyle Tucker is not a Boras client. And what does he have in that connection? Like, it's more of just an easy conflict of interest that you have to point out. You know, like that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that he's wrong. I'm just saying it's like typically.
Yeah, do the Mets need a multi-time All-Star outfielder currently in the prime of his career and who could put up MVP numbers at his true best?
When they could get Austin Hayes, who I was twerking for last week.
Bro, we got Tyrone Taylor. What do we need another outfielder for? We got Benj and Taylor. That's all we need.
Yeah, exactly. And we got AJ Ewing waiting in the wings. Exactly.
And then Jose Ramos as the emergency.
Malaza in the chat saying, what do we got? Any good news? Well, again, Mets are in the top 3. It looks like the Mets added a 4th year to their offer. And we got a report from Mike Puma about, let's say, half hour ago, that it looks like Tucker's decision is likely to come tomorrow. The Mets are now expecting Tucker's decision to come until tomorrow. And then we also got a report from Marino, whether you believe he is reliable or not. Just don't shoot the messenger here.
Still yapping. Yeah, he put something out. Yeah, he did just put something
else
out.
All right,
if they
let me
don't,
just make sure it's.
I guess he's doing some.
It's not
yeah,
offensive.
he's doing some sort of, like, guess Q&A. No, it's not offensive. Well,
Okay,
it might be for some people in the.
Let's see if it's offensive or not.
Love, if you're in the Bellinger love language, you're going to be very upset. But supposedly somebody tweeted out, if we don't get Tucker, what's the pivot? He says it seems someone like Lars Nootbaar is more probable than Bellinger, and they probably repurpose that sources to the rotation like Framber Valdez.
Possibly. Again, like I said already, and I think I said this yesterday, one's going to be a trade, one's going to be a signing because of what they are pushing for, with the certain details that we were seeing from, the flexibility that they're willing to go for certain players on the payroll. We saw, like, what was it, being like the 340, 350 range. They're at 301 in the payroll before tax. No Luis Robert Jr.
Well,
pivot.
Tucker
The
fills
asking
all that
price
up
is
right
probably just the asking price for Robert seems to still just be high. I don't know, because they just kind of fizzled out. We haven't really seen much about Robert.
Well, they think they're going to be competitive. They think they're going to be competitive with Makataga, Murakami or whatever, and Robert. They got Colson Montgomery there. They're thinking they're going to be
6?
competitive now.
6?
Yeah. They actually might allow 10 again.
I thought it was
They
4.
actually might allow 10 again.
Nice.
Oh my God. They allow 10. I guess we have to go on Rangers Central, right?
Wait.
I think we're going to Spencer Martin, top it in goal.
Fire Drury. Fuck that motherfucker.
This just proves how valuable. No, it just proves how valuable Igor Shesterkin is, and he's worth $11.5 million. That's what this proves.
I hope Drury
He
gets thrown
deserves
off the.
more.
I hope Drury gets thrown off the Brooklyn Bridge.
Unreal, man.
Jesus.
Unreal. Unfortunately, fortunately, he's a winner and he's leading the rebuild. So
He's changing the culture.
the culture is being changed.
Oh, Spencer Martin's in that. The guy who spent last year in the KHL. Come on in, buddy. Let's see how much worse you can do.
Let's see. Cold off the bench, but don't give Dylan Garand a chance at all. Like, don't give him a chance. Yeah.
To be fair, I don't want him to freaking die with this team in front.
I want him to request a trade. That's what I want him to do. Either way, this is not a Rangers show. The culture is so damn very good. Exactly. Mr. Bruce Allen.
Exactly. The culture is damn good.
The culture.
Yeah, I think he's doing a great job, and he's doing another extension. He's doing a great job.
On top of the one he got last
Getting
year.
lapped. Exactly. Getting lapped by Kyle Dubas. That's insane.
Tim Shea saying that I think the push for Tucker is because Stearns backed himself into a corner with all the moves we did not make. if we did not land Tucker, this lineup is going to suck. I still think that this lineup is going to be fine. But listen, I understand people got to see it to believe it. That is fine. But I do believe that we're gonna see an offense that's gonna be a little bit more fluid and a little bit more consistent because of the message that is supposedly being sent. And if that doesn't happen, then there's probably going to be even more questions to answer. Like, you know, is Citi Field cursed like MSG when they put out ice? You never know.
Okay. I mean, if I see another moron tweet that out, being like, "Oh, you know, this is just Stearns, you know, has to do this because
this is the thing. Can we just be happy we have the resources to do this?
Like,
this is what I mean. Like, can we just be happy we have the resources to do this? You know what I mean? Like,
no,
enough with the you know, like enough.
It's showing how desperate.
It's because
shut up.
It's because Stearns isn't running this. That's why we're in it. Like, shut up already, God.
Just some people need to just jump off the Brooklyn Bridge, not just Drury, just some other people. Maybe they'll bounce.
No, I think Drury just gets the Brooklyn Bridge to himself.
Okay, so are we doing Cross Island Bridge then? Maybe we'll figure it out.
Cross Island, Verrazano.
August 2024, Jose Quintana gets the Whitestone.
You got the Whitestone too. Can't forget about the Whitestone.
Oh, God. Okay. Just throw them down the Holland Tunnel. You know, plenty of options. Oh, man. So, again, guess what? There'll be a third edition of
Somebody was asking about the information getting public. Marino said that, I'll answer this point blank. It's impossible for me to know the true intention of the Mets offer going public, but at the very least, I think the Mets do have a real chance to sign him. They made a serious offer, and it's being treated that way. So, again, we're just being the messengers here and giving our opinions on it, whether you believe a guy like Marino or not, whether you believe somebody like Regazzo or not, I don't know. We are just putting the message out. That's it.
But guys, you got to remember, Stearns is desperate. That's why he's going after Kyle Tucker. He's desperate.
He is desperate.
Yeah.
And I bet you if they don't get Tucker, they're going to throw 10 years at Bellinger because Stearns is desperate.
So desperate, exactly.
Already. No, they are highly pursuing the top 1% like the Dodgers do. They've already said that they're confident with the team they have already right now. So maybe they know something that we don't. Or maybe he's a fraud and a disgrace to New York City. And he should get the hell out of here.
Shot out of a cannon, you know? Just put him in one of those Mario Party cannons and shoot him out of New York City. But I don't know. But is there anything else? Marino doing that little Q&A. Is there anything else interesting in that time?
Talking about Stearns like he's even part of the negotiations. He is.
He is part of the negotiations. See, I can't stand this fucking narrative.
President of baseball operations. He's the president of baseball operations, people. He gets paid $10 million a year. Do you really just think that he's sitting outside licking the windows while these negotiations are going on? Like, this is insane. Oh my God.
It's like it's
we
like
get it. Everybody doesn't like Stearns. We get it. He's awful. He's terrible. God.
It's like
do I think the offseason was a success so far? There's been things that I haven't agreed with, but I think that they've helped the team.
I mean, they killed the Cheeto Bears, so I'm kind of happy. They murdered Cheetos, so I'm okay. Everything else is gravy now.
Yeah, I mean, just to build up, do you think, like I said, do you think the offseason the offseason not finished yet? There's still plenty of opportunities to make multiple moves. There's still a ton of starting pitchers out there where they go through the free agent market. I know Ranger Suarez signed today, but to be honest, looking at that contract, I had no interest in signing Ranger Suarez to that deal. Framber Valdez is still out there, but like I said, just going based off of what Suarez got, I would imagine Valdez is now looking for a similar type deal, which again, we know that David Stearns is not going to go for, but you can still trade for a guy like Freddie Peralta. There is options out there, and again, like they're still trying to land Kyle Tucker, so we'll see what happens.
Saying, I don't hate Stearns, but he has to prove it this season. My thoughts, and that's fine, 100% fine. It's the people that are sitting here and saying conspiracy theories like, oh, this guy doesn't match up with this guy politically, and that's why we got rid of him. Like, shut up. You're an idiot.
Oh, God. I mean,
What?
guys, we're only 27 days to pitchers and catchers report. David, you got to get going. I mean, come on. We're going to be in spring training soon. I'm excited, but, again, everyone hates each other.
Stearns, what are you doing, man?
Exactly. And if everybody's so pissed off, don't go to spring training. Makes my job a lot easier. That's all I got to say. Keep pissing the fan
And
base
this
off.
is
It's
the
doing
same.
a
This is the
great
same
job.
thing. Saying I still have full support for Stearns, even if there is some moves that I don't agree with. And that's the same thing with me. Like, for me, there's a difference between understanding the move and liking the move 100%. Like, Simeon was not at the top of my list to trade for, but I understand as to why they got him. Defense up the middle, leadership in a clubhouse that was apparently not very sturdy whatsoever in terms of the relationships in that clubhouse. And not to mention, they do like the output of his bat because he is a pull fly ball hitter, which Albert and Snitker really like. And that's the type of profile that really, really fits their coaching style and their philosophy. I like Simeon. I do, but he wasn't my number one choice. But again, if you don't believe in it and you have to see it, that is fine. But enough with, we got to stop making this bullshit up that this team was broken up because Stearns didn't like this guy politically, or he's a cheap guy and he doesn't want to pay all of these guys. This team failed for 7 years with this group. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why.
They broke them up because they lost and they failed. And in professional sports, there is accountability. And guess what? When there isn't accountability, that's how you end up like the New York Rangers. And nobody wants to end up like the New York Rangers.
And the New York Rangers right now, if you want to end up like the New York Rangers, that's fine. They're losing 6-0. So if that's what you want to end up doing, that's fine. No one is saying this is completely perfect and Stearns is the number one perfection. He's number one perfection because he's messed up. Every GM messes up. But if you understand the thought process, you won't get yourself so worked up. But everyone wants to just go 0 or 100 on everything. That's what we call New York media. That's how it's always been.
But he got rid of my favorite player.
What am I going to do with my giant fat-headed
If I win a World Series with a
gal?
bunch of convicted felons, I'm fine with it. I don't care if I win it with Pete Alonso, all right? We don't give a shit.
We get it. You're a Raiders fan. We understand. You love criminals. There's a difference. Some people have higher standard of people.
Well, but it's true, right? You know, it's been 40 years since they won a World Series. To be honest, I just want to get to the postseason in back-to-back years.
Grow up.
That's literally what I want. I
come
want to
on.
see them get to the postseason in back-to-back years. That's literally all I want to see. First,
Listen,
because they haven't been able to do that.
When you've only made the playoffs back-to-back years as a franchise in 60 years and haven't won a World Series in 40 years, you don't get to pick and choose who's on your team when you win a World Series. You put the best damn 40 guys or 26 guys you can on a roster, make sure they fit well, and boom, there you go. It's not about this guy's my favorite player, this guy's my favorite player. No, it's about, do they fit the system? Do they fit the mold of how you want to build your team? And if not, then they can go. Simple as that.
Well, I don't know.
Because that's how you end up with JT Miller on your team. And no one fucking likes JT Miller, right?
No one likes JT Miller.
That's an Olympian right there. What do you mean? Guy's an Olympian.
He's a terrorist.
So was Michael
Well,
Phelps.
I mean. Can there at least be some sort of nugget just draft before we get off here? Like, can we get like a little chicken nugget, something? Besides, him not signing till at least tomorrow.
Little Chick-fil-A.
Little Chick-fil-A side nugget, Exactly, just a little dunk, little bite, little nibble, something. That's even the craziest part. We really haven't gotten many of the Stern specialty, like random, waiver wire signed minor league deals yet. We haven't even gotten that pretty much. We got like Drew Romo and Pache. That's about it. We haven't really had those either. It's like we haven't gotten.
Jose Castillo can still come back.
Oh God! If actual, decent left with like bringing back the same 9 dudes, like Jesus Christ, let them give them somebody a house or something. But
will the Raiders not be a gong show for once? I hope so, man. I'm praying.
Gong.
We're praying.
Nah.
We're praying to the spirit of Al Davis.
Drafting all.
Shut up. I don't think he asked.
They're drafting the most
That's the thing.
generic
I think he asked
white
the Raiders
dude
fan
that-
in the room.
Well,
All right.
Well, you don't
so
want to listen to Raiders fans. They're a bunch of criminals.
sleeper-
Come on.
Okay. Yeah.
Gabe Perreault scored. We're back, guys. We're back.
Hey, a top prospect.
The
scoring? That's
dynasty.
crazy.
The dynasty preserved again.
You guys couldn't develop? That's insane.
Ooh.
At least Ryan Weathers is out of the division. There's something else that happened.
Yeah, man. What Ryan Weathers?
You got Yankee fans treating him like,
Keeps
oh,
me
he's
up at
Tarek
night.
Skubal. Shut up. Or any something.
Yeah, we're probably not gonna get anything.
Yeah.
Yep. So we'll just go to episode 3 tomorrow, and then hopefully signs tomorrow. Since Mike Puma's got all the know.
I guess so. Yeah. Tucker Watch.
Not dick or shit. The flying dog.
Unreal.
Jeez. Jeez. Eddie.
Yeah, I think that pretty much closed it up. For those of you who weren't here for when it came out, Mike Puma put out that the Mets are now expecting Tucker's decision won't come until at least Thursday, which is tomorrow. So I guess we'll end it off there with this, because it doesn't look like we're getting any updates. So I guess we will see tomorrow where he ends up. Within the next 48 hours, we will go live for it. And either way, Mets are in high pursuit of Kyle Tucker. They have now, let's see, offered 4 years, $50 million AAV. And we'll see. So that's the latest. That is the second stream of Tuck Watch, is what we're calling it. Either way, we're going to end it off here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. For those of you watching or listening and want to, on playback, you want to join the conversation live in the future, make sure to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel. Turn on those post notifications to know when we go live, including our usual podcast that goes out, that is recorded live Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok. Follow all of us individually. Thank you to Evan and Matt from Mets Central for joining us along the way. And finally, let's go Mets. Let's get Kyle Tucker. I hope so. This would be awesome. And for the next news, we will see you guys next time.